All right, it's Adam Murphy, Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate, and this was question 1 from the OWR candidate forum. And it said, a 2014 Princeton study indicated economic elites and organized groups representing business interests have substantial independent impact on U.S. government policy, while the average citizen and mass-based interest groups have little to no independent influence. And then it was a two-part question. Number 1, will your campaign refuse corporate PAC money? And part 2, what will you do to combat the influence that big money has on our electoral system? Okay, so let's talk about this question first, because there are a couple of problems with it. Here's the first problem. So the question asks about, or talks about, government policy. So this is creating actual laws, and references that economic elites and organized groups representing business have substantial independent impacts, while the average citizen does not. And so here we're talking about policy, we're talking about laws. In other words, we're talking about lobbyists. But the questions are talking about campaigning. So will your campaign refuse corporate PAC money? And what will you do to combat the influence that big money has on our electoral systems, not on our policy systems? So the two questions don't actually correlate to the statement up above. Now, I'm going to still answer those two questions next section. So we're going to do probably 2, 3, 4 for each of these, because like I said, really we need to be kind of thorough and comprehensive. But what I want to talk about here is this 2014 Princeton study, because it's actually really interesting, because it's been fairly soundly debunked, or at least certainly soundly challenged. And let me explain. In the Princeton survey, they looked at about 1,800 bills that passed through Congress, and out of those, almost 90% were favored by both the wealthy and the middle class. The last 11%, 185 bills, the breakdown on them was, sorry, reading my notes here, 53% of the time it was favored by the rich, and 47%, and again, this is just of those last 185, 47% was favored by the middle class. So what that tells us is that you as citizens actually do have a fair amount of independent influence over the bills, over the policies that actually get created. So the premise of this question is perhaps wrong, and I think that's worth understanding and sharing. Okay, so that's the first part. Like I said, I'm really going to delve into these questions because that's, I think, important. And now I will delve into answering their two-part question.